Teaching children around the world. My image of a child. My image of the child is a globe of the world, which encapsulates my beliefs that all children are individuals that come from many different parts of the world. Children come from many different individual cultures and countries and learn in numerous different ways, according to their culture that they are being brought up in, to follow traditions learned from fellow students that are around them. When I completed my philosophy of education inventory, it has allowed me to reflect back on my teaching career so far and see what beliefs and values I hold as a teacher. This has helped me form my goals of education and what type of teacher I am, to be able to teach students in my own ways. I am able to identify where my personal philosophy of education sits to provide a basis for my practices in teaching, following my beliefs and values. When I begin teaching, I do believe in a lot more. Behavioural education, which is education for competence, behavioural change and compliance with standards to enable students to grasp concepts better if they know what rules and boundaries are set in place. I am also a strong believer in humanistic education, which is education for individual self-actualization. My mind map I have plotted out helps to understand where my beliefs and values lie in my teaching career and myself. What has influenced my image of the child being a globe of the world is my belief that the child is able to discover, explore, and experiment with concepts being taught in their learning in their own individual ways or learning styles. The individual child can also feel safe in their environment and be able to learn through their play as well as structured teaching and learning from the teacher that is part of the curriculum. My image of the child is a globe of the world. The child is from many different cultures and are all individual. They like to explore all aspects of their learning throughout their world, including different cultures. Countries are individual, enabling students to learn their own culture, social skills and learning styles, sharing this with other student cultures. Principle 1. Children are confident, capable and competent learners. What Principle 1 means is, when I say children are confident, capable and competent learners, it means that the child is able to undertake a task that is given to them, knowing they are capable of completing this task. The child is confident they can complete this task and can learn competently with minimal help from their teachers. Children of all cultures are confident to ask for help if they require help to complete a task competently. Children of all cultures from around the world develop confidence in doing a task given to them with help first and then by themselves, so the children can develop capability and become competent learners in their own learning environments. The Early Youth Learning Framework 2011, Understanding Cultural Competence, is that cultural competence encompasses many different things, such as being aware of one's own worldviews, developing positive attitudes towards cultural differences, gaining knowledge of different cultural practices and worldviews, and developing skills for communication and interaction across cultures. This is linking back to my metaphor that says, my image of the child is a globe of the world, therefore the child is individual. In the teaching and learning of Principle 1, Vygotsky used the concept of scaffolding to get a child from one point in their learning where they need help from a teacher to being able to complete a task competently without any help at all from teachers. The teacher is therefore always helping the children to get to the desired outcome using a step-by-step approach. This is helping the students to gain confidence, capability, and competence in learning to be able to perform at better standards. An example of what this pedagogy looks like in practice is that the teacher in the bottom image is using scaffolding from Vygotsky, where he is helping a student with their work so they can competently understand to proceed further with no help. Children need to develop confidence in their learning to be capable and competent individuals, no matter what culture they are from in the world. Scaffolding can be used anywhere in a child's learning. Principle 2. The teaching and learning environment plays a critical role in children's learning. What Principle 2 means is that the teaching and learning environment plays a critical role in children's learning according to the National Quality Standard. It reminds us that the physical environment plays a critical role in contributing to children's well-being, happiness, creativity, and developing independence, and determining the quality of all children's learning experiences. How the teaching and learning environment is set up also plays a critical role in their learning, because if the environment has challenges set up and in a way that's enticing, children are going to want to learn. But if the environment is boring and plain, children are going to get bored and begin to show negative behaviour. So learning environments in a variety of different cultures of the world are set up in a variety of different ways because all individual children learn differently. The world is made up of many different teaching and learning environments. In some countries, children sit on the floor to learn, such as in Image 1. And some other countries may believe that the teacher gives all the information and the children just receive it. The environments would be set up to accommodate these needs of the children. In the 21st century, a lot of teaching and learning environments accommodate technology for the individual child to learn to use at their own pace and individual style. All children, no matter what country or culture of the world, are taught to respect their learning environment they are in. Therefore, the environment, children's behaviour and individual personal characteristics shape and are shaped by interactions, which in turn shape the children's individual learning. When looking at the environments and how they influence teaching and learning in the school and early childhood setting, you can look towards the theories such as Bronfenbrenner and Rogoff, who have talked about these environments in their research. Bronfenbrenner is a theorist that I like quite well and featured my philosophy of education practices because of his ecological systems theory that helps to understand the importance of fostering relationships with children and their families through the different world of cultural environments and factors a child is brought up in and supported. This follows my own pedagogy and philosophy. Rogoff, 2003, has also stated that major role of cultures throughout the world in children's development and learning as people develop as partners in cultural communities, and has stated the concepts of understanding of one's own cultural heritage, as well as other cultural communities, requires taking the perspective of people in contrasting backgrounds, and cultural communities do continue to change, as do individual children in these communities. The teaching and learning environment in a school or early childhood environment should look very challenging and inviting for students to enter into, no matter what country or culture they are learning in. Culture within the teaching and learning environments comprises of all things such as language, religion, food, clothes, and dressing, just to name a few. By providing environments that are challenging and interesting, the teachers in the early years need to allow opportunities for children to interact with people, objects, and symbols that invite them to explore, manipulate, elaborate, and imagine through what the environment is offering the children to play a critical role in children's learning. Principle 3. Values in teaching and the learning environment are important in nurturing children's learning and play. What Principle 3 means is values in teaching and the learning environment are important in nurturing children's play and learning, because when looking at values, you are looking at what's important to the teacher so they can teach the child the correct way of doing things. Teachers value things differently, and this is why my image of the child being a globe of the world is important, because values all over the world are also different in teaching, but all come together as children's lifelong morals and values are demonstrated at an early age. Some of the values that are important range from manners, culture, cooperating with each other or teamwork, attitudes towards learning, and just having fun in the learning and teaching process. This is shown in my mind map on slide 4. Values are therefore a principle or standard that is held in high esteem by an individual and is related to all aspects of one's work life, and a teacher therefore values how they teach and what they teach to be able to do this effectively. When linking Principle 3 to my metaphor of the child, a teacher needs to be able to teach most cultures that enter this country. You are learning to value the different cultural mannerisms that others bring to us. Some countries don't look you in the eye when they talk to you, and if they do, it's considered rude, for example. Cultural values vary depending on what culture you are looking at. For example, Pi Hewitson and Cord in 2017 says that between American, Japanese, and European cultural values, a lot of things are different, such as Americans believe in efficiency and Europeans believe in sensuality being a high value. Children learn values according to their culture and what their families have taught them. When looking at how values are shown in practice in the classroom, the image above is a good example because it shows the class has made up a values tree with all students' ideas on what they should be valuing in their learning. The teacher has added what is important to nurture the children's learning and play effectively. This is therefore displayed on the classroom wall for all of the students to see and be reminded of. Principle 4. Teachers' beliefs influence how children learn and in different ways. What Principle 4 means is that teachers' beliefs need to be considered all children from different cultures and the ways they learn. There are multiple different learning styles teachers can believe in that they use, such as formal authority style, demonstrated model style, facilitator or delegated style. These styles depict what sort of teacher you are. Teachers' beliefs also take into account learning styles of students and how they feel students learn most effectively. Such learning styles are auditory or language learners, who are those children that learn best through listening to the teacher's instructions. Visual learners, who learn best by seeing what they are learning to be able to grasp the concept being taught. And kinesthetic or tactile learners, who learn best through hands-on activities or movement. Teachers need to teach using all three learning styles to ensure all their students are taking in the information effectively. Therefore, teachers all over the world have many different beliefs that influence how children learn and in many different ways. I believe that all teachers believe differently around the world in how they teach, which is why all cultures of the world have different learning and cultural teaching styles. This principle links to my metaphor because teachers around the world have their own beliefs that influence how children in their care learn. So all children around the world learn with different learning styles. When talking about Principle 4, teachers' beliefs influence how children learn and learn in different ways. This is related to Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences, where he says that there are 8 different types of intelligences to how children learn. Children all over the world learn through linguistic learning, visual-spatial learning, musical learning, interpersonal learning, intrapersonal learning, logical learning, kinesthetic or hands-on learning, and naturalistic learning, or the love of nature. Sometimes it may be seen impossible to teach all of the different learning styles that we could believe in. But as we move into using a mix of media or multimedia, it becomes easier to use different styles. I do believe in a variety of different learning styles to use to help accommodate all the different children from different learning backgrounds that may be in your class. When using the different learning styles, you can mix and match these styles to teach children effectively. Examples of what Principle 4 look like in practice are that teachers' beliefs really do influence how children learn and in the different ways and learning styles that they learn. All teachers' beliefs are different, which is why not any 2 classrooms are the same, but the children come out of the learning experiences with the same information but learn differently. As a teacher, my beliefs can range from every child having the right ability to learn, ensure the child feels safe for learning to happen, and always strive for the best teaching I can do. In the image above, teachers can believe children do not learn things in the same way, but they can bring everything together in a circle to consolidate this information they have learned. Principle 5. Interactions and relationships in teaching and learning. What Principle 5 means is interactions and relationships in teaching and learning with both students and teachers can be in many different forms. I believe that all teachers strive to provide positive interactions with all students, and teachers, families, and students strive to interact positively with each other. This provides for great social relationships and learning in the teaching process. Liberante, 2012, states that student-teacher relationships form the basis of social context in which learning takes place, so students need positive relationships to nurture their learning. When linking Principle 5, interactions and relationships in teaching and learning, to my metaphor, I do believe that children need to feel loved. No matter what culture they are from around the world, if they are feeling loved and secure with their teacher or educator, the child is going to be able to learn from these relationships that are being formed. All cultures and countries around the world have their own ways of forming relationships to nurture teaching and learning to children effectively. Therefore, supportive and positive relationships and interactions in the classroom promote a sense of belonging and encourage students to participate cooperatively in the classroom. In Principle 5, when using supportive and positive interactions and relationships in teaching and learning to nurture the children to their full potential, Bronfenbrenner's ecological systems theory is most appropriate. The microsystem, which is forming relationships and interactions with the individual child, and the mesosystem, where the teaching and learning interactions are being formed in the immediate family, neighbourhood, and the childcare centre or school. The teaching and learning is forming positive interactions between child and teacher to learn effectively. In Principle 5, an example of what interactions and relationships in teaching and learning looks like in practice is when you use the microsystem in Bronfenbrenner's ecological systems model with children. For example, you are using direct interaction with other children and teachers to form positive relationships with teachers in their learning. I do believe this is important in all teaching and learning all over the world. When discussing my image of a child being a globe of the world, I am saying that children are individual from different countries and cultures around the world. Teaching and learning needs to reflect this and provide individual learning styles and teaching styles to accommodate each child individually, no matter where they come from. Thank you for listening to my seminar about the image of a child being the globe of the world.